Hi everyone, my name is Alan. I purchased a home in 2021 with my partner. The both of us never had any experience with purchasing a home, and we've only experienced renting. Our parents also never owned the property, so this is something that was entirely new to us. And hopefully, some of you may benefit from this, being in the same situation as we were at one point. If you do have a topic that you want to go in depth, please leave a comment below, and I'm happy to take a look at it and see if I have the expertise to go over that topic or the ability to do the research for that. At a certain point, the interest rates dropped, right, due to the Federal Reserve policies designed to stimulate the economic growth. And because of this, interest rates for homes also really dipped into the floor, and they haven't been this low in decades. Right, this was really an opportunity for home buyers. If you could afford it, right? If you had the opportunity, this was the right time to buy a home, either as an investment or as as your primary residence, right? For us, we wanted it to be our primary residence. And if you understand interest rates, if you understand inflation, then you know that if interest rates are low enough, eventually the debt that you owe on a home will be eroded by inflation over time. We had to get our financials in order. Right? We had to go over our income, go over our expenses, go over our credit reports, and really figure out, can we afford to purchase a home? And does it make sense? Right? Coming from New York City, a lot of things about the home buying market and rent market do not make sense. Right? Everyone always says, buy a home, it makes sense, you want to build equity, but when home prices are astronomically high, it doesn't make sense. We went through the rent buy calculators online. Right? New York Times has a very famous one that I can link below that you can take a look and figure out, does it make sense to buy a home? Or does it make sense to keep renting and investing what I would have used to pay down the mortgage, right, or down payment? Right? So it's very interesting to think about what's the best path for wealth generation. Buying a home is not always the right path, but it is a path, and you should investigate it and give it the right attention before you make a decision. The first thing we did before we even started looking for homes was to really figure out what our budget was, right? Because we didn't want to start looking for a home thinking, hey, we want all these nice amenities, and by the time we get there, we realize that we actually cannot afford this. Right? We ended up settling on a budget of $300,000 because it made the most sense at that time for our financials, right? And if you're curious about how we got to that number, or why it made sense for us, feel free to make a comment about it, and I'm happy to make a video about it. But remember, your budget is going to be different based on your financial situation and what you are comfortable with. First thing we did was go on Zillow, and we looked up New York City, and quickly we lost hope, right? How can anyone afford a home in New York City? These prices are crazy. We didn't want to be house poor. And house poor meant that you're basically putting your entire paycheck toward a mortgage, but you don't have enough money to save for anything else or really enjoy life, right? Given this, we saw the crazy prices. We thought to ourselves, what if we just looked in New Jersey, right? What if we looked outside of New York City, right? What were our options there? Right? We want to be close to work. Right, that's one of the ideal things. We want to still be close to New York City, right? We want to be close to friends and family. We don't want to go too far. What made sense was the Hudson County area, right? So if you're familiar with the Hudson County area, you know that it's practically right next to Manhattan. Commute to Manhattan is great. Commute to the other boroughs, maybe not so much, but you can make it work, right? It's not too crazy. You're not going super far. In hindsight, the location was really perfect, right? At least for us. We decided that New York City on our $300,000 budget for 2 bedrooms was a lost cause, right? That wasn't going to happen, so we pivoted to New Jersey instead, right? So it's very important to be realistic with ourselves and our expectations. Right? If you can't afford it, don't force it. In the end, New Jersey checked most of our boxes when it came to what we were thinking of a home, right? Maybe the only box it didn't fit was the fact that it wasn't as urban, right, as New York City, depending on where you went. Our next step was interviewing the big three, right? The big three, what I meant was the attorney, the agent, and the lender. right? These three had the most impact on our entire home buying process because the agent shows you the home and helps you negotiate. The attorney writes up the contract and helps you, protect you basically. And then finally, the lender basically provides you with capital, right, access to money to actually buy the home. Without any one of these, potentially you can't buy a home, right? Maybe attorney depends on where you are, right? Some states require an attorney, some states don't. I prefer to have an attorney because I don't know the legal language, and it's nice to have someone that can protect me and can vouch for us. Any attorney that you're interviewing should be able to walk you through the process. Your goal is to make sure that they explain everything. If you don't know something, ask, right? Don't just be clueless. It's gonna come back to bite you later on. If they weren't willing to teach us, then we can't work with them. I'm the type of person who needs to know exactly what's happening and why it's happening. Now, once we did find a lender, an attorney, an agent, we really began the endless home search, right? And we went with our agent to tour maybe 10 homes or so, more than 10 homes actually. Even though the market was competitive, we had our requirements, right? We had to have at least 2 bedrooms, right? We wanted an office in our home because we're gonna work from home, right? So it made sense that we weren't both crowded in a single room, especially when we both had meetings. It was difficult. But in our case, we had to find something that fit our price range. We looked at both condos and single family homes. All the single family homes we looked at did not really fit our requirements for that price range, and there were issues with them that were completely separate. And it was interesting that we encountered them, and I'm happy to talk more about those single family experiences if you're curious. But otherwise, we stuck with condo because it made sense. We of course had to pay an HOA fee. We didn't feel comfortable also waiving any contingencies, right? I'm sure, especially not as first-time home buyers, right? We wanted to be well protected. And for those of you who don't know what a contingency is, basically it means that if there's something wrong with this home as I'm going through this home buying process, or there's a reason I can't complete my part of the contract, then the home purchase is void, right? I don't have to go through the process. It didn't mean that we didn't have any problems after we purchased the home. I think that's going to happen no matter what, just because you have a home now. You're responsible for this structure that will deteriorate over time. It's just natural that you'll have problems. So more information on our loan. We actually put down somewhere between 15 to 20%. And we did have PMI, right? Because we didn't put down the full 20%. But the PMI was minimal, right? Less than $40. And also we had a 30-year conventional loan, right? Our offer didn't waive any contingencies. We just had everything as conventional as possible. And surprisingly, it worked well. Once we made an offer, that's where, and the offer was accepted, that's where a lot of the confusing part of the process comes into play, and you have to be your own project manager, right? So if in class or at work you're a leader, you'll be fine, right? So one thing to call out in New Jersey is that real estate contracts are a little strange, right? First, you sign the offer and agree that you're going to purchase the home, and then the attorney is going to look at the contract and adjust the language as needed. There's going to be a minimum of 3 days to review that contract on both sides, right? So, the seller's attorney and buyer's attorney are going to be speaking to each other to figure out what makes the most sense. At the same time, the sellers can legally continue to show property to other potential buyers, right? And during this period, they have no obligation to actually sell the property to us until that, review period with the attorneys was over. We did know that the sellers continued to show the home, so that did not feel good, but that was expected, right? Once the review process was concluded, right, the contract is now finalized, and now I have an obligation to purchase the home, and the sellers have an obligation to sell the home to us. We had a fantastic agent, right, that really walked us through everything. We wish that he could have done everything for us. But yeah, he was a great agent. If you're curious about an agent in Hudson County, feel free to reach out to us. We highly recommend our agent to anyone that's seriously looking for a home. Also keep in mind that the process is not complete until you have the keys in your hand. Potentially anything can go wrong, so you need to really stay on top of everything. Stay on top of your emails, know who to reach out to. If you don't know who to reach out to, CC everyone, right? Remember, you are the client. All these parties have an obligation to assist you with your home buying process. You're not annoying, right? Don't think of yourself as annoying. Just think of yourself, hey, I'm spending a lot of money here and I really need to get it right. Right? You want to really make sure that you meet all the deadlines. Right? Your attorney should be laying out the deadlines for you. And you want to make sure that you understand exactly what needs to be done. And if you don't, ask. Right? There's no harm in asking, and you're paying them, so make sure you get the most out of them. Don't feel bad if you need to fire your agent, your attorney, or lender, because you won't really know how good these people are until you're knee deep into the process. Right? Maybe you can see some red flags during the interview process, but hey, everyone's good at BSing, right? Everyone's good at just saying, hey, I can do it. But then when it comes down to it, they drop the ball, something's happened, and you just have to let them go. No hard feelings, it's business, and that's how it has to go. So remember, you need the best people on your side, and some of you may be in the middle of your home buying process yourself, or maybe you are starting your search, right? Or thinking about what to do from there. Hopefully this helped out, and if you're curious about more information, leave comments below. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and so on. If you're curious about other topics, let me know. And as a thank you to everyone who watched up until the very end of this video, here are some of videos and pictures of me struggling with our new home. And hopefully you do enjoy that. Think of them like bloopers, if you will. Thank you, and I'll see you all later then.